Oops, there we go. That should be better. Got some audio now. All right, I think we are live. Recording is running. Check Twitch real quick. See myself on Twitch. See myself. All right. I can hear myself. That looks good. All right. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year. It's 2021. We're 4 days in already. Oh. 2020. What a crazy year. Historic year. And it kind of went by pretty quickly, too. Retro. What's going on, Retro? Good to see you. Happy New Year. There we go. All right. Well, feels like it's been a while since we've been online, but I think it's just because it's been kind of a crazy last few weeks. Because we haven't missed a Monday or Tuesday stream. I think since we've started. I don't think we've missed a stream, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we were last live on the 29th. Believe it or not. Ooh, I got to do a little Discord plug here, quick. All right. Retro, are you streaming right now still? I saw you were streaming a little bit before. You're still live? Oh, nice. Okay, so you're probably not listening to me. But hey, thanks Evan. Thanks for the quick chat there. All right. Yes, so Happy New Year, everyone. I'll try to say Happy New Year throughout the stream as people kind of pop in and out. Whoa, Kane Rim is now following. Kane, thanks for the follow. Thank you for the follow. That's an early follow. I haven't even done a proper introduction. But now that Kane's here, I guess we'll have to. So yeah, thank you very much for the follow, Kane. I appreciate it. We've got a couple of follows. Got a couple of offline follows. We got Recondite Deity. Recondite. And it's so hard to pronounce people's names. Dude Chicken in Plate is also followed. So thank you guys, Dude Chicken in Plate and Recondite Deity. Really appreciate the follow. Give a proper introduction now. Happy New Year again. Happy New Year. 2021. Wow. Can't believe we made it. 2020 was something else. But yeah, what are we working on here? Well, we're working on my game Populus. It's a game where you pop bubbles and stuff. It is not terribly exciting, but you can play it right now. It's live. Populus.gg. Drop it down there in game. I can never remember my own chat bot, Nightbot commands. I should make it both. I should make !play and game both be the same thing. Link is down there in the chat, populus.gg. It's a game where you pop bubbles. So if you go play, you basically are trying to pop the bubbles, different colored bubbles, in the order that they appear here on the right-hand side, whatever that is, right? It's the right side, right? So to pop a bubble, you just hover your mouse over it and press the spacebar or left click. So you're just kind of popping whatever bubbles in that position there, and you're just trying to see how fast you can go, how many you can get in 30 seconds. You got the timer there on the side. Whoa. A little too early. And then you see your stats at the end. And that's pretty much it for right now, what's on Populus.gg right now. But we're working on multiplayer. And in fact, we're getting pretty close to having actual multiplayer working. So if I got two browsers here. So we can queue up a multiplayer game together here between these two browsers. And whoa. Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like there. Got like a little indicator kind of showing that you're ahead of your opponent. In this case, this guy's beating this player here, or the opponent here. So the opponent's position is signified by the little red dot there. I don't know if that makes too much sense, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if people get it or not. Anyway. Yeah, so what are we doing? What are we going to be doing today? That's a really good question. Well, there's a Trello. There is a Trello. And I added this task just now because we still have some other tasks here that we need to get to. But I have this I added this one here to our doing column. So the Trello kind of works for people not familiar with Kanban style task management. Basically, you got these columns of card. Yeah, every task is like a card or a thing. You could technically put like little checklist items under one card. So technically not necessarily a task per card. But basically, they're organizing kind of these columns, and the idea is you'd have like a to-do column, a doing column, and a done column. So these are the ones you've already done. These are the ones we're working on currently, and this is the ones we have kind of in to-do. And I have this other column, future to-do, so kind of stuff that's a little more down the road, like we don't need to really be worrying about it right now, but at some point in the future. So we've moved this one over to doing here. I just created this one this morning, right before we went live, actually. Client validation and rate limiting on server. So I want to do some verification things on the client side, on the server side, kind of verifying some things from the client. So basically, I just want to kind of check. I want to just kind of have some very basic things to kind of just basically not let anyone screw around too much with the client side. So that is basically what's happening now with a multiplayer game is the clients are sending. Everything happens over WebSockets. So I have a Node.js WebSocket server running, and that's how the game kind of happens, multiplayer side. So basically, when you have a multiplayer game going, the server is kind of running its own copy of the game. It's kind of verifying all the mouse input updates and everything from both clients. So that's a lot of data. And then the server is like generating bubbles and everything and sending them down to the clients when they need them. Oops. I just want to get these both in sync here. Oh, okay. So the clients send quite a bit of data to the server. And I would like there to be kind of a rate limiting thing. So obviously they're sending 60 updates a second to the server. But I'd like the server to maybe keep track and just see if there's more than that, like if somebody's trying to do something that would send potentially more, I would like to, forcefully disconnect the client. I feel like that kind of makes the most sense to do. I just want kind of some basic kind of cheat or security kind of things. Not really security, but just kind of some some pretty basic checks to kind of verify. This isn't really cheat detection. Like we're not detecting bots or something like that, but just some kind of higher level things, I guess, that we can do to kind of just ensure a little more security. So the one thing I'd like to do is actually verify, basically, on the server side, if we maybe get a command that's not, so I've got a switch case here for all the commands that come from the client. So here we read basically a 32-bit integer out of the chunk of data that comes from the client, and we have a switch case to see which command that is. And I think maybe we could have like a default case here. Is this how it works? How do you do default? What? Hang on a second here. Oh. Okay, let's do, I gotta move this. Okay, this stuff here is not inside the switch case. There we go. One thing I'm gonna do, just real quick, is we're gonna just, I'm going to create blocks for every case. Which we don't have, just for scoping reasons. So we're gonna do that real quick. Beautiful. Okay. All right, and then we want to do. Is this not? Okay, so this one should be back here. I don't know why it wasn't. We'll do just the same thing with the default. Okay. But I think what we could do is basically if the server gets a command from the player that's not Okay, so I just want to do, I'm going to do a little console log. So basically this is the server code here. This is our Node.js server code. Typically what I like to do is I like to keep my server code in this left pane. This is left, right? This is right, yeah. And then my client code or browser code in the right pane. Just a little fair warning there. So I want to just check first, just make sure that nothing's happening on the server. No message is going to the server from the client that would hit this default switch case. So basically every possible command from the client that the client can send to the server should be taken care of in these cases here. So the first case is a find match. Second case is canceling a find match. Third case is quitting a match so that you're already in. Cursor down is a mouse click, and then a cursor moved is a mouse movement. And then default would be anything that doesn't match any of those cases. So in theory, we shouldn't have anything like this, but I want to do a little check to make absolute certain. Okay. So we are just looking for that. Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything down in the console there, which is good. What's the text we print there? Default hit parsing client commands, right? Yeah, I'm not seeing that anywhere. Let's let the time run out. Actually, I'll quit. Player quit match. That looks good. We're waiting for a match. Player can't wait canceled. That looks good. We're in practice. Cancel. Okay. All right. That's looking pretty good. I want to try something here then. We're going to do... We are going to do... something interesting here to kind of test this. So now I'm going to look at, well, let's see, we've got this method where we clean up a player, okay? Yeah, so we set up this little chunk of code here last stream, I believe last stream, where we started pinging any connected players, like the WebSocket connections for any connected players. So that is the browser opens a WebSocket connection to the server. And basically, we like ping all of our connected clients every 10 seconds. And then if we don't receive a ping up, we don't receive a response back from those connected players, we disconnect them. We forcefully terminate their WebSocket connection. So I think we want to do something similar. We'll probably actually run these two lines here where we'll say clean up player and then terminate the connection. I feel like that's kind of what we want. So this is the way that basically this, if a player didn't ping, if a client stopped pinging, that would kind of mean like they either lost network connection or, like network, on a desktop or something, network cable got unplugged, right? So the browser didn't know that it lost network is the other thing. So the browser's pretty good. The modern browsers with the WebSocket object and everything, those are really good at closing the WebSocket for you when you close the tab, refresh the page, or close the window, whatever. Because in fact, this code here, player close, this WebSocket on close is what runs when you do that sort of thing. So like if I just refresh a page, we see player connected. If I refresh it again, it goes player closed connection, then player connected. So just doing a refresh, the browser just closes the WebSocket for us, which is really nice. So we can trust the browser in those cases that it's gonna, close the WebSocket connection, and then the server will then handle that. So that's why we have this cleanup player method, which then goes and makes sure, closes that out a match or whatever if the player quit or that sort of thing. So what I think is we want kind of a combination of these things here. We want to do the cleanup player and then the terminate, just like we do with the ping, but I think we want to do that when the ping fails. And I think we want to do kind of the same the same thing, just we're going to basically yeah, so we'll do, I'm going to copy and paste these lines. And then we're going to say, okay, so default hit parsing client commands. Okay, so this dot cleanup player, player dot WebSockets dot terminate. Okay. So here we're forcefully closing the WebSocket. And then I want to say, if we close that, if we close the WebSocket, I guess let's, maybe on the browser side, let's just refresh the page, maybe. Turn my space heater on there, a little chilly. Now, I don't know if this is 100% necessary. You know what? Let's do this. This dot socket dot add event listener close console log web socket closed. All right. So what I want to do, so I just set up an event listener for WebSocket close, which I believe is a actual method. I'd have to check the documentation, but we're going to assume for right now that this is valid, and we'll test it. So let's try to actually send maybe a bad command to the server. I'm trying to think of how we might want to do that. Send a server command. Okay. Out command fill 0 so I could send out buffer. Whoa, Retro MMO, what's going on? PMart, hello. Sam Oates Games, hey, what's going on? What's going on, guys? Evan, thank you very much for the raid. I really appreciate that, man. You didn't have to. Hey, Kodako, what's going on? 45 people? What? That's way too much. PMard, thank you for the follow. I readily appreciate that. I really do. Evan, thanks for your message. Because right before I went live, I saw that you were live. And then I went live and I saw your message and I was like, I thought he was live. But wow. Guess I have to explain how the game works, huh? Now to everybody. Albino God Tyler. That's a cool name. Bruh, I've been here for like 5 seconds. I'm already entertained. You have a great personality for streaming. Keep it up. Wow. Albino, thank you. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I really do. That's a nice comment. That's very nice. Very nice. Strokes my ego, I will say. You know. Retro MMO, I saw you go live and I was like, shart, I want to watch. I was like, dang, I should probably code. Now I'm like, oh, now I need to go watch my kid. Hey, Evan, no worries. You didn't have to end your stream just to come watch me. I'm just kidding. I know you didn't. I know you wouldn't. I know you wouldn't do something like that. Albino, thanks for the follow. I really appreciate it. I really do. Wow. All right, well, I'll give a little demo. Well, Albino, you just said you're already entertained. I really appreciate that, but now you're gonna realize how dumb the game is that I'm working on. You're gonna be like, all right, I take back what I said. The nice things I said to Jared about that. Yeah, I just did the same thing before, Evan. I did the exclamation point play, and I was like, wait, no, it's game. I should do both. I should have like an alias or something, so both of them will work. Yes, Evan just threw the game down there in the chat. Populus.gg. You can play it right now. So what is it? Well, it's a game where you pop bubbles. And the name's Populus. So that's POPULUS.gg. So you can go there right now. Check it out. Only if you want to. So I'm here right now on the live site. And you can hit the play button. And a game starts real quick here. And basically you're trying to pop these bubbles as fast as you can. So they appear here, or you're trying to pop them in the order that they appear here, starting with the big one. So you want to go pink first. And to pop a bubble, you move your mouse over it, and then you press the space bar or left click. And then you just keep going, kind of in whatever, you know, as you see, whoops, not that one. As you see the bubbles there showing up on the side, you just keep going. You got 30 seconds, so that timer's about to run out. Time's up. And then you see this stats screen here. You see how many bubbles you popped in the time and your pops per second and how many mistakes you made. So that's pretty much it. Simple little game. Yes. We're working on multiplayer right now. In fact, we're getting pretty close to being live, going live with multiplayer. T-Grave, thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. Whoa. And, oh, there it goes. I was going to say, then I just saw this one down here in the feed. Tim May HB, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. You know that? I think we hit 200 followers. We're at 202 now, according to Twitch Stream Manager right now. So 200 followers. That's crazy. That's crazy. You guys are awesome. And there's a Discord. I have a Discord server. Just put the link down there in the chat. You can check it out if you want to. You don't have to join. It's, you know. But yeah, a little Discord server for just kind of me streaming and games and whatever. And Evan, 200 follow hype, well deserved. Hey, thanks, Retro. Hey, a lot of that is people from your channel over these months. So no, thank you, Retro, for your support. I appreciate it. You are the rank 2 Populus player after all. Yes, I am. So that's worth following for, I guess, to see the I was the champion. I was the champion for like 4 hours. I wasn't rank 1 for probably 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, that went away pretty quickly. Yeah, but what are we well, hang on. Before I get ahead of myself here, I'll give a little demo of the multiplayer. So the multiplayer is, right now there's not really a menu button for the multiplayer. That's something we got to work on. That's something I need to figure out how I want it to look. But I queued up for a multiplayer game. So it goes to this little finding opponent screen. You got this little wavy animation, and then which I don't really like it right now, but it's kind of good enough. It's good enough for right now. And we've got this ability where you can practice while you're actually waiting for an opponent. Since no one will ever play this game, I figured, hey, why just force them to sit there and wait forever? So you can actually just go in and like join a practice, and up here you can see it's still finding an opponent, and I could just cancel that anytime I wanted. And then if another player joins, actually something went wrong there. I probably need to refresh both of these. I'm guessing the server rebooted. I hope that wasn't a bug. I don't think it was. Player connected. Oh yeah, that definitely wasn't a bug. Because the server restarted at one point. Okay. It looked like a bug, but don't worry, it wasn't. All right, so this guy's waiting for a match, finding an opponent. And then we click here. There we go. So basically the server kind of generates the same bubbles for both players. So they kind of can play. They pop their own copies of the same bubbles. So it's kind of fair and square in that way. So like I popped a few, and now they're both at the same points. So kind of up here at the top is kind of like a little indicator to show you versus your opponent. So your opponent is represented by like the red circle. And it's not really final UI at all. It's just kind of, you know, an idea for right now. And I think this is what I want to keep. Just kind of keeping with kind of a simple design of circles and stuff like that. So like this guy's kind of ahead of the opponent, so it's showing the red going back every bubble pop. And then vice versa for this player, it's showing red going ahead every bubble pop there. So, and then as this guy starts to pop, he's starting to gain the lead, and then eventually he could overtake the opponent, kind of like that. So, why make a 2D game when VR is the future? You know what? I think I am going to ditch this. You got a good point, Evan. We're going to scratch this and keep going. Albino, how long have you been programming? Probably like 7 years, 8 years maybe when I started. Don't ditch it, just make a VR version. I like it, Kodako. I like it. That sounds pretty good. Mascarian. Yo. Mascarian. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. P-Mart, wouldn't that just be Beat Saber without music? Yeah, I think you're right, P-Mart. It would be. Actually, I just picked up Beat Saber the other day. Like, seriously, like, last 2 weeks ago, maybe. VR Type Racer. Feels like I'm really typing. Yeah, but you'd have to type with like the controls. Like one, it'd be like chicken finger just with the one with each controller or something. No real keyboards allowed for that. Yeah, it would be almost like I was actually typing. Whoa. There we go. I screwed up my window here. Hang on. Okay, MS Go. Yeah, Evan, get out of here. Go watch the kid or whatever you got to do. Best of luck with the streaming the codes. Hey, thank you. And yeah, I hope your stream was good. Looked like you were going like 8 hours or something. So that means you started at like 4. Is that 4 a.m.? Did I do the math right on that? That's crazy. Well, that'd be a 4 a.m. my time. So what, 5 a.m. your time? 5 a.m. Eastern. Wow. All right. Well, did I finish explaining the multiplayer? I think I did. You know, there's pretty much not a whole lot to it. It's just kind of straightforward. You're just kind of racing the other player. So what I'm doing right now is actually just some kind of really basic kind of not really kind of client validation stuff, if that makes sense. RP Mulligan. Hey, I'm new. Rad hair, man. Hey. Welcome, RP Mulligan. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, and thanks for the compliment on the hair. Man, again, you guys are stroking my ego this morning. Well, it's this morning for me. I know some of you might be evening. Might be middle of the night. I don't know. I guess that's possible. Yeah, so what we're trying to, well, for those of you who came over from Retro MMO that, you know, have never really hung out here with me before, I'll just give you a little technical. I don't usually talk, I mean, you're watching me program, you know, and I talk like people know what I'm talking about as I'm going, right? I'm just kind of thinking out loud it's kind of my style. Yeah, for those of you who might be a little more interested in the real and the programming side of things, so obviously this game is it's a web game, a browser game. So it's basically a lot of client, just raw JavaScript. It's all vanilla JavaScript to handle all the client side stuff, and then I'm doing the server with Node.js, and I'm using a package, an npm package called WS for doing WebSockets, basically for setting up a WebSocket server in Node, because Node doesn't have any built-in WebSocket library or anything like that. And I've got this other RAN token package on here that I'm not actually using right now, so I'll probably uninstall that at some point. But yeah, I'm not really using any libraries, I mean, other than WS, any third-party libraries. It's all vanilla JavaScript. Nothing fancy. No TypeScript. Evan left. Retro MMO left, but he would have just now. But he would have made some pointed TypeScript comment there at me to say I should be using TypeScript. Muscarian, WebSockets are good. Yeah, it's a pretty cool technology. I mean, it lets you do a lot of cool things for sure. And you can kind of just, you know, it's a bi-directional communication thing. You know, it's not like HTTP or where I'm trying to send a request and get a response and all this stuff. You know, you just can send, server and client can just kind of send data whenever they want, and that's pretty cool. Muscarian, I like TypeScript, but it can be a lot. Yeah, I got you, Muscarian. And I don't know, I might maybe do TypeScript at some point, but I feel like the benefits of TypeScript haven't, well, it wouldn't really make too much of a difference for me. That's kind of how I feel right now. Albino, I've never made my own backend in Node. I've only used Express. Gotcha. Yeah, and I've actually never used Express. I mean, I've heard about it for sure, and it seems kind of like the thing to use. But just setting up your own, I mean, Node is pretty simple to get, you know, like if you just set up your own static HTTP server or whatever. I've done some REST API stuff just from scratch with Node, and it's really simple to get it kind of going. Just setting up a server and doing stuff, and I haven't really done like a legitimate web page kind of thing, because I don't really consider this game like a web page thing, because really the entire, there isn't really any HTML for this game. All of these buttons and everything, all these UI elements are actually drawn on the canvas. So there's an HTML canvas that takes up the full screen, and basically the only other HTML elements are these links. That's pretty much it. This is basically the HTML stuff here, and this top part here in the head is the Google Analytics stuff. So it's basically a title, a body, and then the script. And then we've got a div for the links, and that's pretty much it. And there's no, it's just basically just hard coded like this. Nothing I don't think I have any sort of build process or anything like that. Sterling Stir, what's going on? Yo, back on the grind. Good to see you, Sterling Stir. What was I saying? All right, I was kind of explaining, yeah, like I was saying, this is all just stuff being drawn on. This isn't CSS or anything. It's kind of my own like little animation system. It kind of does all of this. There's no like routing or anything or any, I mean, in the traditional sense. It's all just kind of a JavaScript client side that's doing everything and kind of getting us around wherever we need to be and that sort of thing. And then all the communication with the servers happening over WebSockets. And what I'm kind of working on right now is actually some like validation right now, client validation on the server. Sam Oates Games is now following. Hey, Sam Oates, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate it. So I want to do, I think I kind of want to have this policy of if the server receives anything that it's not expecting, then it should just kill the WebSocket connection. I think that's going to be kind of my, at least for right now, what I'm going to do. So we were just kind of getting to the point where we could test that. So basically, actually, I can kind of show this here. I have an application.js file, and this is on the server. So this is kind of it's technically a class, but it's kind of a singleton object. So for those of you familiar with Node.js, I'm doing, module exports, exporting out this application object. But when I export it out, I don't export out application, the class. I do a new instance of an application. I export that out. And there's not really a specific reason to do that, but in this case, but basically what it lets you do is it kind of gives you just, anytime you were to import application from application.js, you would just be importing that same object. So it's kind of like a singleton kind of thing. So I've got a class for an object, but there's just one of them, one object. RP Mulligan, you have switch case statements, but the if statements within seem a bit unsafe. No. What do you do what do those if statements do? That's a good question. Yeah, so I'll back up just a little bit from that. So basically, I set up my WebSocket server here, and then we have an event listener function here that fires when we have a message event fires from our WebSocket object. So, and basically the browser is triggering those. It sends some data to the server, and then this function fires, and then our data is coming in through this anonymous function parameter right here. So I'm using just raw buffers for sending the data rather than something like JSON, because basically I could save a lot of space, a lot of bandwidth by not using JSON, and that was kind of a whole thing I did. Because JSON's kind of a nice thing to use for sending data over WebSockets. But what I ended up doing is just doing raw bytes. So I kind of have like my own little format where there's the first 32-bit integer. We read that out, and then that's what comes through our switch case here. What starts our switch case. So then we're just checking for each of these different commands. So we've got a find match command from the client. So that's when the player wants to find a match. We've got a cancel match find. So if the player says, is waiting for a match, but then says, actually, I don't want to do that anymore, then they would throw that. I shouldn't say use the word throw, but the client would send that message to the server. There's a quit match message. So if the player quits in the middle of the match, there's a cursor down message where if the cursor was clicked, and there's a cursor moved. So basically during the game, the client is sending its mouse movements and everything to the server. So yeah, RP Mulligan, I'm getting to your comment on the if statements here. But are there alternatives to JSON? As a student, I always do JSON format to send things across the network. Naris, what's going on? Good to see you, Naris. RP Mulligan, thanks for the follow. I really appreciate it. You guys are too kind. You know that? Well, RP Mulligan, I mean, you can send whatever you want. You know, JSON is just, you know, it's a format, right, of a string is what you're doing. You know, you're kind of, because you're not really, you know, JSON in and of itself isn't really anything. You're just sending bytes that make up, you know, a string of bytes that make up a JSON string, right? And it's just kind of, it's a convenient thing, right? Because you can say, you can have your JavaScript object, and then you can stringify it, you know, from either side, client and server. You can stringify it, and then you just get a string of raw bytes, right? And you send that across the network, and then the other end just parses it. Or vice versa, you know. And obviously that's a convenient thing as a programmer, right? Because you already have your object, and then you just stringify it and send it. But what I ended up doing is I ended up going with, because I couldn't really shrink the data down to a certain, because I'm sending every mouse movement in a multiplayer game, I could only shrink that data down so much because it was a string, right? I'm sending like cursor mouse positions, and those would be these like big floating point numbers, right? But that becomes very large if you convert that to a string. Not to mention you add a bunch of overhead of actually converting between a string and a number, you know, when you're doing the JSON parsing and everything. So what I decided to do is actually just send raw bytes instead. So I'm using array buffers on the client side. So that is, I'm using the array buffer class. So that's something that's just part of the ES6 spec, and browser APIs all have that. Whatever modern browser, whatever I'm trying to say. And then you can open up these like views into that array buffer that you open. So basically I allocate an array buffer of 12 bytes. So every message that goes to the server is actually 12 bytes long. So I just set up this memory once when we allocate this memory once, basically. So we've got that there. And then every message we send to the server, we just kind of write in those bytes. So we're always filling out this out buffer. And then we're sending that over WebSockets. And then basically there's not really much parsing that needs to be done. The first, so like I said, it's 12 bytes long. So what I did was I made the first 4 bytes the command. So that's like just an integer, just a enumeration kind of thing. So it's 32 bits, 4 bytes, 32 bits. And I'm opening up like a view into that array buffer. So that's what this thing is. New uint 32 array. And then we're doing this for the next 4 bytes. Well, okay, so the first 4 bytes of our 12 bytes is the command. The next 4 bytes would be the X position of a mouse cursor if we're sending it. And then the back 4 bytes, the last final 4 bytes would be the Y position of the cursor. So that's why I ended up with this 12 thing, 12 bytes. So that basically what ended up happening was like I think even like best case, I could only get like it down to like, well, no, actually, I think it was like something like 70 bytes is what we were sending with JSON. So we got it down to 12. So that's obviously a pretty good. shrink of the data, right? Not to mention the actual parsing of it is now we've removed the overhead of like parsing through a JSON string, running the JSON parse, this function, because you'd have to do that both on client and server, so you'd have to run through that. Which I did a little bit of testing with that, the speed of that versus just reading a byte out of an array buffer, and it was like 10 times slower doing a JSON parse. So there's a lot of extra overhead that's added in for that. Not like this. I don't think the speed will really make a difference for us in this case. I mean, if we had like a million people playing the game, yes, but since that won't really happen, don't really need to worry about that. So anyway, I kind of did a long explanation there, but RP Mulligan, you were asking about these if statements inside of the switch cases. Well, some of them are good things. Well, actually, in this case here, this one shouldn't really be hit anymore. But that might be part of what we kind of handle today is if we receive a certain event from the client and something's already happened, we might want to cancel the game. But basically, these if statements are little validations for every case. So, in other words, like if we received a cursor down event, or let's say a cursor moved message from a client, that client needs to be in a game, actually in a game for that to actually do something. So if we weren't in a game, we can't really go through and handle any of this. So basically this else should be like should technically never be hit. Not be technically possible, but maybe it could be possible, and maybe we do want to have some sort of like disconnect them if we start receiving cursor moved events, you know, when we're not inside of a match already. I don't know. That's part of what we're kind of looking at today. I don't think I'm actually really going to care about these things right now, at least. It might be at some point we really want to do that. Sterling's here. What? No competitive browser esports? Well, maybe. Maybe. I am the number 2 competitive Populus player in the world right now. Number 2. Whoops. Feels bad, man. I don't know. Nobody's gonna play Populus. Let's be honest. Let's not josh ourselves. I'm all out of water. All right, actually, whoa, is this really my first bathroom break of the stream? We almost made it a whole hour in before a bathroom break. That's pretty amazing. I think I'm gonna have to take a quick BRB here. B, right, back. There we go. Notepad has zoom. Oh, control scroll. Duh. Okay. All right. All right, we'll be right back in a minute here. My one emote that I have is a toilet because I take a lot of bathroom breaks. So there it is down there in the chat. So we'll be right back in 1 second here. All right, we're back. You guys got me covered with the BRBs there. Santa hat BRB. Nice. All right. Yeah, so I added this default case now in our switch case. Sorry, I got a couple mints here. A couple ginger mints. I always pop a couple in my mouth at a time, you know, never just one. Can't really just have one. So I added this default case here, right? And I just added this little console log here. I was just testing before Retro MMO raided. Because I wanted to make sure that we weren't sending anything weird to the server. So again, we're on the server side here, and we're parsing through the different commands that the client could possibly send to us. So the default one here, in theory, should never happen, because this would mean we're sending a command that doesn't exist. So we read the first 4 bytes out of our buffer that comes from the client. We read those first 4 bytes as an integer. So read int 32LE. So this is actually a Node.js buffer class, not to be confused with the ES6 array buffer class. Because there's an array buffer which only works on the browser. Array buffer only works on the browser. Node.js has, or sorry, I said that backwards. The browser has an array buffer and can use that. Node.js has an array buffer, but also a buffer class, which is different. So we read the first 32-bit integer out of that array buffer, that message buffer. And what I want to do is I want to see what happens when we hit the default. And what I'm thinking we're going to do right now is basically we received an invalid command from a client. So what I'm thinking right now is we'll just kill the WebSocket connection. And I think what should be working right now is we should have a listener set up now for the WebSocket close event. I assume this is an actual event. I just typed this in right now, and I'm pretty sure this is a valid event to set up for our WebSocket object. This is a web browser. This is a WebSocket object. Browser WebSocket object. So so we should be logging now WebSocket close. I just added this morning as well. So I want to try to send an invalid command to the server now. So I'm going to just set up my own way to test that, but this is just kind of like a basic little check we can do to kind of just validate if somebody's doing something a little fishy on the client side. So I'm trying to think of how I actually can test this. Maybe we could do send to, let's see, player quit game, send to server. Okay, actually this shouldn't be too bad here. This should not be too bad to do. So we could have an event listener for maybe match ended. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm setting up an event listener. I'm in our WebSocket wrapper object on the client. Basically, that's just, it's not really a good name for it, but it kind of wraps around the WebSocket object itself. Well, I guess I kind of described it there. But it kind of just handles like network related things, or anything WebSocket network related. And it like parses also, it's the thing that parses through the commands from the server and then fires off respective game events as well. If that kind of makes sense. If I ever say anything that doesn't make sense, because obviously I might make assumptions. Cactus man. Yay, JavaScript. What's going on, Cactus man? Thanks for hanging out. Welcome. Hello. Did you come over from Retro MMO's raid? No? Nope. Man, you responded before I even finished saying what I was saying. How did you do that? All right, sorry. I'm almost done with these mints. So it kind of sounds... I'm from the future. I like it. Well, Cactus Man, I'll give you... Am I saying that right? Is it supposed to be just Cactus Man? You got the Y substituted for the U. Cactus. Yeah, gotcha. I'll give you a quick little rundown on the game here. So, working on my game called Populus. You can actually play it right now, Cactus Man, if you want. You don't have to. No, I can't remember the command. Now I'm getting all mixed up. Okay, I have to do exclamation point game. Anyway, it's a game called Populus where you pop bubbles. So if we go, I'm here on the live site right now. Click the play button. And basically you're trying to pop these bubbles here as they appear on the right side here. So this red bubble is the first one we're trying to pop. So to pop a bubble, move your mouse over the bubble and press the space bar or left click. And then you just kind of keep going as our little navigation section there on the right just keeps updating with the next bubble we're supposed to pop. So you just kind of go through there, see how fast you can go. And you got 30 seconds. The timer just ran out. And then you see your stats at the end, how many bubbles you pop, total time, pops per second, how many mistakes you made. Codico, set an alias. Can I do that myself? Set. Let's try exactly what you said. Play. I guess I could have copied and pasted what you were saying. Set, play, game. Let's try it. Nah, I guess that didn't work. Maybe I have to set up something like that. I'm just making stuff up. Yeah, I didn't know that was like default Nightbot behavior or something, but actually, let's... Nah, I'm not going to mess around with it right now, but I need to have it. I've seen player do a set, so... Okay. But, yeah, it's the game. It's stupid. It's simple. There's not really anything to it. Yeah. But somehow I've spent hundreds of hours developing it. But it's a game. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is. Cactus Man. So I'm working on multiplayer right now, actually. So I switched tabs here back over to my development version. And we have kind of, I don't think anything will break right now. But basically, we have kind of a one-on-one. I want the game to be kind of a one-on-one thing. So basically, you would be racing head-to-head against another player, popping the same bubbles. So that's kind of the deal there. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There we go. And you're popping your own copy of the same bubbles, right? So if the players line up at the same point, they'll still see the same bubbles. Oh, it's not the same bubble. It is the same bubbles. They're just able to pop them at their own pace, basically. So like what I did there was I popped, oh boy. I opened the GeForce something there. Did some hotkey there. Yeah, I had a kind of an alternate game mode where you could, well, I was experimenting with the idea that they would pop the same bubble. So like they would literally just see the same bubble and then race to pop it, and if you popped it, it would disappear. Whoever popped it first, it would disappear on the other player's screen. Yeah, I don't know if that game mode would be too much fun. That's kind of the thing. It's a little kind of frustrating. It's just not super like clear what's going on. So there would need to be a little more. Need to be a little more. Kind of need to be hashed out a little more. So I'm keeping it in the back of my mind for right now. But yeah, so right now I'm working on a little bit of validation side stuff on the server side. So we are so my server is all JavaScript as well. It's all Node.js. So I keep my server code here in the left pane, and the right pane is all our browser code or client code. So I'm basically checking the case right now if the client were to send a command that was not valid, that didn't exist. So that's kind of what we're handling right now. Cactus Man is now following. Hey, thank you, Cactus Man. I really appreciate it. I really do. It's very kind of you. And thanks again for hanging out. Oh, yeah, I also have a Discord for anyone out there interested. And I did just set up a new little self-promotion thing. Because, yeah, we got a lot of other, game devs and developers and programmers hanging out. So, yeah, if there's any, we've got the Discord server set up just kind of for general, there's a little Populus section where there's a little high score channel there. Where you can see Truyaksky's insane 124 pops in 30 seconds. But yeah, there's a, what was I saying? There's a self-promotion section. I just added that this morning. So, yeah, if you got your own little project, own little development project, you can plug that over there. Or self-promotion channel, I should say. So we'll, yeah, I'd like to be doing more like updates after every stream on there and that sort of thing. Which we'll eventually get to, but not right now. I'm at the 100 servers limit. I need to find something to kick out first real quick. I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, Cactus Man, there. Okay, so oh, Discord server, 100 limit. Discord only lets you join one of our... Well, you didn't... I mean... Wow. Cactus Man, you didn't have to do that. 100 servers. Whew. That's quite a bit. I'm part of like 3 servers. I'm pretty much a Discord noob, actually, myself. I kind of just set it up for when I started streaming. Or for once I started streaming. 60 plus are just emote servers. What is an emote server? Okay. Oh, I gotcha. Just to have emotes for other things. I gotcha. 60 plus of those. That's quite a bit. All right. So what I think we should be sending now a 100 command here to the server when a match ends. So this will even fire during a practice game. So what I'm going to do is the client is going to send a 100 command to the server, which 100 is not a valid number, not a valid command to send at this point in time. So I know that this is an invalid command, so we should hit the default case. And in that case, we should terminate the WebSocket connection. So we'll hit our default in our switch case. Then we'll see that log to the console there, default hit parsing client commands. And then the player should be cleaned up, and then the player's WebSocket connection will be terminated. Ooh, wait a minute here. Just clean up. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, that's good. Then the player's WebSocket connection should be terminated. Yes. And then on the client, we should, in theory, if this is a correct event listener, we should see a logged message here, WebSocket closed. But nothing else would happen on the client right now, just that. So let's open up some consoles here, a console here on the client. And actually, okay, so we just refreshed this browser, so we connected to the server. So now even if I just play a practice game, I don't really need to. I probably should have just set the time to something slower, or quicker, but whatever. We can play a full 30-second game here. I got to practice, I got to try to reclaim the #1 Populus player in the world position, Oh. All right, so we're about to end. So when this ends, boom. Okay. All right, so we hit default hit parsing client commands. That's good. And then the WebSocket connection closed on the client. Beautiful. So now, if I did something like this, yeah, WebSocket is already in closing or closed state. I think this is okay for right now. Like for version 1 of the multiplayer, I think this will be okay. Because we kind of had that discussion a little bit last stream where it was like, what do we want to do? What do we want to do if the server's down or something? Like, because the game will still run and like the practice modes will still run. Just you'll never actually connect to if you did a multiplayer game, which I think is okay. I think that's fine for right now. Like that, I want to eventually have some sort of notification to say, oh, you're not connected to the server, so you can't, refresh or something to try again. But I think we'll just leave it. Cactus Man, what is 100? 100 is nothing. So that's why I sent it, because where was that again? Where did we actually send that? Up here. So we send a 100. So basically the commands I send to the server are integers. So I have like a kind of a little enumeration thing. Like JavaScript doesn't have enumerations like other programming languages have, but I have kind of a thing like that here, where basically the client can send find match, which is an integer 1, cancel match find, which is integer 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. So I'm sending 100 just as like my placeholder for nothing, for an event that doesn't exist. I'm still waiting for enums. Yeah, I got you. Well, with TypeScript, you got it. And I'm saying that now before somebody comes in and says TypeScript. Codico, you're using TypeScript, right? So Codico would probably have yelled at me. I like TS, but I'm a noob. No judgment. So yeah, so that's kind of just like a little enumeration kind of thing. And I'm just sending, like, so when I normally send a thing to the server, like I use my full path there, find match. But here I just forcefully sent a 100, which I know for a fact will fail because we're not parsing for that here or on the server side. So I knew we would hit this case. So that is, that's pretty good. Yeah, so the other thing I'm trying to think if maybe we want to do is like maybe have like a limit. Have like a well, I said that without, I'm like halfway thinking through what I'm trying to say here. I think we want to like maybe check the size of the data that comes from the server, because we know it's always going to be 12 bytes. So maybe we just do a length check. And if we see something that doesn't equal 12, if the length is not 12, then that might be another reason to content length header. That's actually a good question, Cactus Man. I mean, it's WebSockets, yes, but I wonder if maybe there's something. Let's see if something else comes in here. Oh, actually, it would tell me. Event. Message. Listener. Ooh, oh, okay. We've got all of the overloads here. Let's see if we can view what these are. How does it? What's one? Come on, just okay. Here we go. Why won't it show me? Oh, here we go. All right, let's see what we got here. On event, close, on message. Oh, these are just the. Yeah, these are just the different messages. Close, error, upgrade, message, open. Okay, so message has to be a listener that says. There must be another. On unexpected response. That's interesting. Okay. This is just what VS Code is pulling in from that. Pulling in from our WS library here. Okay, so yeah. Well, basically, we can just do this byte length check here. So, Cactus Man, yes, this is the WS NPM package. Yes, yes, yes. Right there. The plain old WS. All right. So I guess we could say, so on message, we could just do a check right in the beginning. Well, actually, we need kind of another little thing here. Instead of, we have a cleanup player method, and we kind of need like a terminate. Terminate client. Let's just say terminate client maybe. And then we'll take a player object in, and then we could do this. So now we're going to end up running these two lines multiple places, so I kind of want to try maybe doing this. So terminate client, we pass our player object in, and then the player has the WebSocket connection as part of it. So we pull the player in, we'd clean up the player object, so that pulls the player out of matches or whatever, anything that would happen. And then it basically does this. Makes the player not the waiting player anymore. If it was the waiting player, makes basically the waiting player is if you want to find a match and there's no other players, you become the waiting player. And then if another player connects and says, I want to find a match, then it checks if there's a waiting player. If there's a waiting player, then it matches them up together in a match. So then if the player is in a match, we end that match. And then we remove that player from the player's array. That's what's going on. So, and then terminating a client is actually a different thing, because that we'd clean up a player as a first step, then we'd actually kill the WebSocket connection for that player. So let's have a little function here. Wait a minute. Oh. Okay. Okay. This should be good. Called when WS should be when I want to make this more explicit. Client WS should be disconnected. We'll just say forcefully closed. How about that? All right. So we'll say terminate client. So then instead of this, we can just say this dot terminate client and pass the player object. And then we can do just this same exact thing up here. Unexpected token. What? Did I like copy and paste something because all this formatting is screwed up? Yeah, I must have broke something here. Clean up. Player. This looks good. This looks fine, right? What? Application JS 102. Okay. Oh. Oh. Oh, I went over that extra line there. Default hit parsing client commands. So you are familiar with the WS package cactus, man. Cool. Yeah, because you said, yeah, it's just data, nothing after that. Very cool. Okay, so that, yeah, okay. I think that's good. So let's add this little check where we'll just do if message buffer dot byte length is does not equal, and it's going to be 12, but now this is something we could probably put in. Wait, where do we get the player object? Oh, up here. Okay. Okay, player. I've used it before, but not too much. Are you aware of the client tracking option, by the way? I found the other day I stored my sessions manually before. Yes, I am actually using that, Cactus Man. But I haven't. Where is right here? I am using that, but I actually still kind of keep track of the players separately. So I don't know if it's really making much of a difference. Yeah. Well, you need a reference anyways. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, like, I need to know. Like, for every connection, I need to basically extend, you know. For every a connection is a player, so I need to, like, have, you know, some extra properties and everything attached to that. Hang on a second here. Oh, you need that? Oh, okay.
I meant to have it sent to my phone, but it...
Oh, gotcha. I've used that notification sound before. It confused me. Nice. The little jingle, the little ding. Yeah, so I don't know if I need this client tracking anymore, I guess, now. Yeah, I'd have to look a little more into it. I mean, I might as well just leave it for now, but yeah, I would like to know. I would like a little more info on the WS package. For the most part, went over all the NPM documentation, but I feel like I need a little more info than what's there. If you don't need to iterate over all of them without touching the players list, probably not. Gotcha. Yeah, because I saw where... Because I also took this thing from the NPM documentation. I also took this, but I modified it. And maybe this is where, according to the NPM documentation, maybe this is where the client tracking would be important. Because they set it up to ping, basically to check for any connections that went dead, you know, like a client lost network or something like that. So they ping, and then if they don't get a ping in a certain interval, then they forcefully terminate the WebSocket. So I'm doing a similar thing like that, but I'm actually just iterating over my players and then checking the pings or pinging them all from there. So maybe, and what they do in the documentation is they do it's like WebSockets or WS server .clients maybe. Thank you. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but WSS.clients. Yeah, they use WSS for the WebSocket server or whatever in the docs, I think. Yes. Yeah, and then they do clients.for each or whatever, and then do the ping. So yeah, I guess that's probably the reason why you would do client tracking then. Because I guess maybe if you didn't do client tracking, then you wouldn't have the clients array. You wouldn't have that as an array or whatever, maybe. I don't know. I guess I really don't care at this point, but I would like to know more. All right, so I want to get this 12 out of here. I want this to be in our config file, because this is showing up in both the server and the client. So we have 12 and 12 there. Okay, so if message blah, 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 buffer.byte length is not equal 12, then we are going to terminate. This dot terminate client, and then player, because we should have that player object from up here. Player. Beautiful. Okay, so let's get this 12 out of here. Let's do WS. So this is going to be something that's both for the, let's say, client buffer. What is this thing called? Out buffer. I guess we'll just say client out buffer size 12. And then instead of 12 here, we're going to do config.ws.client out buffer size. Beautiful. And then we do the same thing on the server. And we got rid of that magic 12. config.ws.client out buffer size. Beautiful. And this is maybe, I don't know. I feel like this maybe doesn't make a ton of sense, but configs, heck yeah. And now make it a float. Are you talking about the, are you talking about, you're talking about this 12, the 12? Make it a float, you're saying? Maybe I'm not understanding exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I tend to miss all the jokes. That's kind of what happens. Floats for buffer lengths. I gotcha. Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, that wouldn't make much sense, would it? All right. So yeah, I think that's right. I think that's what we want. So now I don't know actually how to, I'd have to do some work to actually send a separate thing. Oh, well, I guess we could just do this. To just test to make sure this is working, we could just cancel out this one and then just do like 13 maybe here. So now if we're going to send, we're going to allocate 13 bytes. Actually, I can't. Let's do 14. Let's do 16. A multiple of 4 because I think this stuff might complain. Because JavaScript doesn't like, if I'm going to open up a float32 view into an array buffer, the array buffer size needs to be a multiple of whatever that, however many bytes you're using for that thing. Anyway, it doesn't let you just interpret your data however you want. 4, multiple of 4, the unholy number. Okay, so now, wait. Okay, so now we're sending, yeah, we're sending an extra 4 bytes, or we're setting that out buffer to an extra 4 bytes, and then so we should be sending 4 more bytes, and then this will then be false, and then we'll terminate the player. So we can check this. If I do this, it should just instantly disconnect this. Sweet. Okay. So, wait, player closed connection. Oh. Yes. All right, we can get rid of that. Yeah, we don't have, okay, so we don't have player closed connection. Why is that getting logged? Huh. Oh, if we call terminate, if we call WebSocket.terminate, it fires this close event. I guess. Even if we, the server, close it, it will still fire this WebSocket event listener. Failed successfully. I think you'd want something like a disconnection reason. You're kicking them so they didn't close. Player kick true or something. Yeah, maybe at some point I might want something like that. as of right now, or you mean, well, yeah, I mean, I don't have any reason right now to log, or I don't have any sort of log for that stuff right now. I may actually want to log stuff like that, but at least for our first version, or at least for the first initial version, we won't be doing that. But yeah, that would be cool. It would be cool to see like, oh, it'd be cool to see like, oh, somebody tried to send more bytes than were allowed, you know, to the server kind of thing. Like if we failed in this case, it could say like, oh, you know, client sent more bytes, sent this many bytes, you know, like message buffer.byte length. Something like that. Client sent too many bytes, you know. That'd be cool to log, I guess. I mean, for right now, I don't think I'm going to have anything quite like that. All right, but okay, so okay, wait a minute. Does that mean we're running cleanup player twice? CLG cleanup player. So maybe we don't need to do okay, we got player connected. Let's just try that. Cleanup player. Yeah, that ran twice now. Because on close runs even when we forcefully terminate. Okay. That's good to know. So maybe we don't need... Yeah, so actually, we don't even need to do... Or just some enum to handle that case in the close event. Just something to keep in mind. Yeah. All right, so we are now realizing we don't actually need to... We don't need to call this .cleanup player on a WebSocket close, because this will... Or no, wait a minute. No, we don't need to have that here. In fact, technically, we don't need this at all. We just want to have player.ws.terminate. Yeah, terminate. We get rid of that. And terminate, therefore, will clean up the player. Okay, so player.ws.terminate, player.ws.terminate up here. Oops, I did it again. There we go. I think wrapping that would still make sense. Yeah, if I need it, we'll do that. For right now, I don't really care. Because like you said, we might want to log that stuff eventually, but yeah, for now, I think we're all right. Okay, so I am actually going to get rid of this just for right now. Keep everything tidy. Tidy and tidy are different. tidy is like tight, whitey tighties, you know. Tidy. Be nice and clean, you know. All right, so cleanup player. Yes, okay. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute now. Now, actually, maybe we should just get rid of... Yeah, let's maybe get rid of this cleanup player thing too. Just to... We don't need all these function calls right now. Let's just make sure that we are not... Well, I guess we don't. We can do that right here. Cleanup player. Okay. Yeah, let's just, for clarity... There we go. All right, I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. All right, I like that. Kind of shrinking some stuff down here for right now. But as Cactus Man says, we probably will want to have player ping interval. Maybe we want to go back to making this like 30 seconds. We got a server only player. Let's just say client ping interval. We'll go to 30,000 milliseconds there. Here we go. Config.ws. What did we say? Client ping interval. Yeah, Cactus Man, you might, if you're still hanging out, you might kind of appreciate my little configuration file setup. F Society, what's going on? Good to see you, F Society. Yeah, my config thing is kind of neat. Since I'm not really using any crazy build automation kinds of things. I was just going to suggest configuring the ping interval. Hey, you got me. Didn't look, bam, you did it. Nice, nice. F Society. We're doing multiplayer still. Probably what we were working on last time you were around. Right now I'm working on kind of some client side validation stuff. So we're making sure the client isn't doing anything too obviously fishy or obviously wrong. And then we're just we're closing the connection with the client on the server side if we see some weird things. So we're just taking care of some obvious kinds of cases. There's definitely some more less obvious things we could do, but we're probably not really going to get to those before we go live with multiplayer. But yeah, I was gonna just explain quickly my little config system. So I have kind of a master top level configuration file here at the top. And that's what's open. That's what I have open in this page here. So it's a little, I don't know, it's a little unwieldy because it's kind of big, but basically it's so it's just a JavaScript class, and then everything's inside of the constructor. And then I export a new instance of that class. And then basically I've got like some flags on here that, so this is a little meta programming-y. Because like I have the ability now where I can, if something is like supposed to be only on the server side or something, I can like kind of have an object called server only like under any other object. So like, or like let's take the WebSocket thing, for example. So we've got like config on our client. We're using, oh, let's get rid of this. Oh, actually, let's make sure this works now. What we were supposed to be using here is this config.ws.client.out buffer size. So this client out buffer size is something that's part of the WS object here, and it's kind of at the top level. And there might be some certain things like client only, which I have kind of it set up so that if I just say client only and then specify an object, anything in here is only going to get sent to the clients. Basically, there's going to be a script that runs over, parses through this config.js file, and I have it run every time I make a change or something. And then friggin' Twitch ad breaks. F Society, I don't understand anything. Hey, no worries, no worries. Yeah, maybe I might have explained. If you got any questions, let me know. I'm always happy to explain things more. I might have said things a little too. I might have said things there a little too. Yeah, I didn't explain it very well. So basically, right now I'm working on trying to basically the browser make sure nobody's like cheating in an obvious way. So they're maybe not try if they're trying to send like maybe too much data to the server, or they're trying to, what else did we do? We did if they're trying to send like some invalid data to the server. Basically, the server's now checking that data and then saying, yeah, this doesn't look right, so I'm going to close the connection with that client. So it's not really like a cheat detection kind of thing, but kind of a, kind of just some obvious validation. Twitch began bugging people with ad blockers or ad blocking DNS settings with static image fed into the video stream that just sits there for like 30 seconds. But I'm not going to kneel. Shh. F Society, firewall thingy. Maybe not quite to that level. It's kind of, it's looking at the data that comes in, but I mean, in a sense, kind of like a firewall. But it's not doing like an IP kind of IP checking validation or something. We might do something like that at some point down the road. Like maybe there's somebody who keeps doing bad things. So doing these things that we block, and then we just say, oh, well then we'll keep an eye on that IP address. And then if a client tries to connect with that has that, you know, if that IP address tries to connect again, we might just block them, kind of thing. I mean, that would be probably not super, I don't know. We probably won't actually get to something like that, but you never know. We might have to. Anti-cheat. AI learns to play Populus. Yeah, I mean, bots and stuff, that's actually something I kind of want to actually have at some point, is actually some good bots to play the game. You know, if no human connects in time, you know, maybe have a bot kick in and play. So, but yeah, Cactus Man. So I've got kind of this like master config.js file that I keep like at the root of my project. And then I can kind of like, it lets me like put flags. I can say server only. and then like only these objects. So basically this is like a master file where everything goes in one place, and then I have a script that runs like every time I modify this file, and then it generates a separate copy for the server and the client. And so like on the client side, for example, if I open the client's config file right here and we go to, so the file ends up looking slightly different, but it's like I have a little note up here, client config generated by buildconfig.js on, and I put the date and time, you know, just so I can kind of have that logged. So then this config.js that we're looking at is the client side generated file. And so then we see like the WS object here, and we see like all of this stuff that was wrapped under server only, we don't see that. But then here's one, the client only, that we see, the URL. So that like it gets removed out of that client only thing. And then we see it. So we have ws.url. And then it's like the string is kind of rendered out. Whereas here we're using like a template string. And then like any of these other numbers get kind of calculated. Like client update interval gets calculated out, because this was like a client update interval. You know, it does this calculation and then spits out that. Kind of a macro-y kind of thing. You might want to look at JSONette. Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, I might check that out. Or I assume. Yeah, JSONette, right? Basically does what you do here. Gotcha. Yeah, and I ended up doing kind of a... It actually ended up being a little more complicated than I realized at first, because to obviously parse through all this, I have the support for it, so you could have like, you know, you could kind of go, there's kind of like a little recursive kind of parsing that has to happen to go through it. So the actual, the magic happens in this build config.js file that then basically imports that config file, runs through, and then, you know, spits out that rendered file that we have here. But yeah, it was kind of fun. It was fun to kind of build and whatever. But yeah, there's definitely plenty of things that already do that, I'm sure. But JSONette, yeah, I'll have to look into that a little bit. All right, so let's see, what else do we have going on here? Because we just, okay, so if I do this, we join a game, we get forcefully closed, kicked out here. And then we'd be just stuck here forever. So like if I were to, oh, actually, never mind. It's not even gonna, now we can't do that. All right, so we know that works. We are closing the connection. So if we go back here to here, we should no longer be closing the connection. Yep, that looks good. And now we are back. Awesome. All right. Okay, so now what do we want to do? That is the question. Okay, so we've got just a couple obvious things right now. And I think see here. Okay, so is there anything else we want to deal with right now? I mean, we've got let's see, we've got a couple other cases where there might be some. So for example, like if we receive a find match command from a client and we do this check up here, oh yeah, we've got player requested match but is already in a match or waiting for a match. So we're like ignoring a request from the player if we receive another one, which we shouldn't ever receive again. Because I think we're kind of blocking that client side. Like in a valid setting, I think we are already blocking it. So like if I do this, so we're finding an opponent, we're waiting for a match. We went to practice while we're still waiting for a match. If I close, then we do this. Yeah. So we're blocking this on the client side already. So the client can't, if you're a valid player, you're not trying to cheat or anything. We're blocking the client, the user interface itself is already blocking you from connecting to a game when you're already waiting for trying to find another match when you're already waiting for a match, basically. So that's kind of fine. We've got other cases like cancel match find. So we're checking if the player is the waiting player and then we're removing them. Else we don't do anything. Config WS client commands quit match, player quit match, if player match state. Yeah, so like if the player quits a match, we're doing an if the player is actually in a match, then we end the match. Otherwise, we're not doing anything. And that's kind of fine. I mean, like we could technically, terminate if for any of these ones that fail. But I really don't know if that's super necessary. Because really, we should never receive a quit match event from a player that's not in a match, already in a match, like as far as the application goes. But I don't know if we actually need to like take action upon if something like that were to happen. All right, I think we got to take another bathroom break. Wow, we've basically been taking a bathroom break once every hour. That's a record. I guess I'm not staying as hydrated. That's probably the problem. All right. Throw a Durana BRB down there in the chat. Did I spell it right? Yep. Okay. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. Cactus Man covering me with like an emoji toilet or something. Nice. All right. Okay, so one thing I wanted to do is kind of like a rate limiting thing. We stepped through all these commands, right? Yeah. And I think we're okay, like for now, at least. So like there's these if statements here, checking to make sure that the context with which that command is being sent is correct, but I don't think we need to like, I don't know. Maybe we do need to like log all the potential fishy items. But anyway, yeah, I want to do like some rate limiting. So I want to do like, I want to check, because right now the clients send updates, mouse updates, at a rate of what? We're sending 60 per second. 60 updates a second, 60 mouse updates a second. So we've got this client update interval thing that comes out to basically that comes out to the number of milliseconds. So it should be 16.666666667. Cactus Man, I got to bounce, but I'll be back. Definitely enjoying it here. Hey, thanks, Cactus Man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for the follow and hanging out and everything. Really appreciate your time. Yeah, we'll see you around. We'll see you around. So, whoops. Yeah, so we're sending 60 mouse updates a second from the client. And that actually reminds me. There's one thing I think I wanted to experiment with and try to see if we could get away with. And that is where? Okay. Latest cursor move. Okay, let's look at that real quick here. Send to server. Okay. So there's one little weird thing that we kind of have. Not a weird thing, but we have right now. I've got this logging kind of happening right now where we're basically generating all. Oh, what is this? Player, mouse event, target bubble ID, undefined. This is weird. All right, there's an undefined here, and this is all okay. This is all player 0. I did a little bit of player 1 there. All right, hang on. We got something slightly fishy with this undefined thing here. So let me try. Let me just see if I can replicate whatever that is. All right, we're gonna wait for that match to end, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't have made it 30 seconds. All right, so once this game ends, come on. Time's up. There we go. Oh, forgot about that. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so it's fine there. All right, so there was one undefined in there, and that's really weird, and I don't know how that got in there. Okay, so let's try to figure out what that is. All right, we're gonna set our match time just to like 5 seconds or something, just something really short, so we can quickly test. So we need to find match time length 30,000. So let's just make this 5 seconds for right now. That'll give us enough time to just screw around and try something. And we are currently doing we can get rid of this now. We have this one event where we're sending an invalid command, so we can get rid of that. Okay, there we go. There we go. 3, 2, 1, move. All right, let's see what that did. So we're going to open up our CSV file. No, everything. Oh, there we go. Click undefined. Okay. All right, so I think we can replicate this now. Undefined. Okay. All right, so that seems to be firing when our target bubble is 0. When our target bubble is 0, when we do the click, all right, we're gonna have to check this out here. Okay, so how would this possibly be undefined? So if we go into a match and we look at end match, player cursor down. Okay, so this is the click, and then if we've got logging turned on, we do mouse event. Wait a minute. Player, mouse event. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is weird. Guster B is now following. Hey. Whoa. Guster B, thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Man, you guys are crazy. We're at 206 followers now. We've almost got like 10 followers today. That's crazy. You guys are awesome. Guster B, hey. Hi there, Guster B. Thanks again for the follow. I really appreciate it. $1K followers soon. Retro MMO, what's going on? You're back? Oh. If anyone's here that wasn't from Retro MMO stream, you need to check out Retro MMO. I got rid of the baby. Nice. Retro MMO graciously rated earlier this morning. And now he's back. babyless. Back and babyless. All right, so I'm a little confused because this. All right, so well, you might ask, what is this CSV file that we're even dealing with here? Now, what it is a now wait a minute. Yeah, there it's one. All right, hang on. Let's check this here. We gotta do another game real quick. I gotta refresh. There we go. No, we gotta refresh this one too. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple clicks out here and a couple valid clicks. Okay. 5 seconds, done. All right. So what I'm doing here, Guster B, wow, this is a huge JS project. There are quite a few JS files. Guster B. I assume I'm saying that name right. I'll give you a quick little demo here, Guster B. So this is a little game that I'm working on. It's called Populus. Populus. You can actually play it right now. Oh, whoa. If you wish. Populus.gg is the domain. So I can pull that up here right now, populus.gg. I'm not in my development version currently. And if you play, it's a little game here where you pop these bubbles and you see how fast you can pop them. So you got 30 seconds here. This little timer's ticking down. And you got to pop the bubble, the color that matches the first position here on the top right. So we want to pop pink first. So we move our mouse over pink, and then we press spacebar or left click, and that pops the bubble. And then you're just going off of whatever bubbles in that top position there, and you're just seeing how many bubbles you can get. Whoa. In that 30-second time window. So then once the time's up, you see your stats at the end. You see how many bubbles you popped. Pops per second, and how many mistakes you made. That's pretty much it. We're working on multiplayer right now. And I would give a quick demo of the multiplayer. Well, I kind of just did actually a second ago. But before I do that, I need to look at this file. So one thing I'm doing right now is on the server side. So we're looking at this CSV file. Oh, and I haven't been explaining the technical details of the project, because a lot of times people maybe aren't that interested in it, but I should do that from time to time. Because as Guster B mentioned, it's a JS project. Whoa, Skididdy93 is now following. Skididdy, thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. I really do. Phew. Yeah, this is madness. You guys are crazy. I think we did hit 10 followers now today. I think. And we've only been live for 2 hours. It's crazy. What? Skididdy just subscribed. I shouldn't be allowed. Skididdy, thank you. Thank you for the sub. I think we hit 10. Did we hit 10 subs? I thought we hit 10 subs last time. I put the little sub count down there in the bottom. Down on the taskbar, you see that? I'm working on a new little layout thing for my this is all just a mess. Like the chat is kind of covered up. I should have done that. I just need to clean this all up, make it look better. But Skididdy, thank you very much for that sub. No, I really appreciate that. I really do. That's awesome. You guys are crazy. Best stream overlay. Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. Like, it's already about as good as it can get. Notepad for BRB screen. Never change it. Now that you say all that, you kind of have given me faith back into this. Just, yeah. don't fix what's broke. You know what I'm trying to say. So if it's not broke, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't think it's broke. It works. It certainly does work. Okay, now the sub count updated to 10. Beautiful. Beautiful. I thought we were at 10. We probably were, and then somebody just said, wow, this guy's terrible, and got out of Dodge. So anyway, wait, does 10 subs mean we get a new emote slot? Is that what 10 subs means? How do I don't even know how to check that anymore. No, content? No. Preferences? Let me just see here. Let's just see. I think I found it. Nope. Oh, it's 15 subs. Okay. All right, so 5 more people subscribe real quick so we can get another emote. I'm just kidding. Don't subscribe. If anything, you should unsubscribe if you are subscribed. If anything. Yeah, it just said 15 on there, so come on, guys, just 5. No, don't subscribe. Don't subscribe. I can't take your money. All right. All right, so as you can see here, we got an undefined in our CSV file, and that's not good. That's not good. But we have, okay, so what is this CSV file? Why do we even have a CSV file? Basically, I'm using it as like a kind of a debugging thing, but also I kind of set it up for a little more future use case because I want to be able to analyze like player data and perhaps be able to create like some bots from it. Like I could kind of just use that as like a baseline for stats, like how many pops or what's the pop time and everything. Skididdy has gifted 1 sub to Retro MMO. Wow, I've never heard that gift. Nobody's ever gifted a sub yet, so I've never heard that little jingle. That's kind of a nice little jingle there. Skididdy, you're an animal. You're amazing. New best friend. And granted it to Retro MMO. That's Retro MMO deserves it for sure. Yeah, thank you very much, Skididdy93. And if 93 is your birth year, that's also my birth year, so I feel like we're joined at the hip. Skididdy. Icy Kid, Pog. What's going on, Icy Kid? Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right. Oh, okay. Nobody should be subscribed. I'm getting undefines in my CSV file here. That's not good. Nobody should want to watch anything where this ends up happening. 'Tis my birth year. Already bros. Nice. Awesome. Awesome. We're old farts. Old farts. I said that real Canadian. Yeah, 2021. That means I graduated high school 10 years ago. Wow. That's crazy. 10 years ago. Well, coming up in the spring, summer, whatever. 10 years ago? Plus, yeah, so like 14 years ago since I was a freshman in high school. Grade 9 for those of you not from the US of A. That would be grade 9. All right, so the CSV file, I'm just using it to log basically as much data as I can so I can kind of gather. I'm going to be using this data kind of for like anti-cheat once we get to that point. Anti-cheat and yeah, look at that. That's crazy. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. So basically, I'm just logging all the input data from the client in this bubblepops.csv file. And it really shouldn't be called bubblepops anymore. That was like my old name for it. But anyway, what it's doing is like during a competitive match, the server, and it's the server that's doing this. So it's keeping track of all the input data from each client. So every event that comes through, it's logging the player ID here. So player 1, you're either player 1 or player 0 in a single game, in a given game. And then this is the type of event, so either a movement or a click, basically. And then this is the target bubble. So the bubbles start at 0 and they just increment up in as for their ID. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. So this, for every event, it's just logging whatever the target bubble ID is at that point in time. So this is the thing we have that's a little weird. We're getting an undefined target bubble ID, which doesn't make any sense. And then other stuff here, like these columns, these are supposed to be columns that kind of match up here. So like player is here, mouse event is supposed to be this, target bubble ID is supposed to be column 3, timestamp is column 4. So obviously these are, misaligned. We need to open this up in like Excel or, Google Sheets or something to kind of see this all in nice format. Time flies when you're having fun. Certainly does. Certainly does, Skididdy. So we have the timestamp here, which is the time in milliseconds that event happened since the match started. So like our first mouse movement was 18 milliseconds in. So, that's pretty quickly in to the start of the match. And then here is this fifth column here is the delta. So that's the current timestamp minus the last timestamp. So in that case, this should technically be no less than 16.7 milliseconds, ideally in a perfect world. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of 15s here, 15, 16, 16, 15, 16, 16, because we're sending mouse updates every 60th or 60 times a second. So if we divide 1 by 60, that comes out to like 0.016666667 times 1,000 milliseconds. So that gives us 16.7 milliseconds. So our times here should always be around that 16.7 mark. It can be more. It can be a lot more. Because basically we're only firing off mouse input events to the server if they happen. So if you don't move the mouse for like a second, then you're going to see like a big number. Like here we see a big, actually no, this is all screwed up. This is all screwed up now. Maybe I deleted something that got rid of this. Maybe that's what happened, because I'm pretty sure this was working before. But it seems to be working here. So basically, when we have a click, and if we have a mistake, so if we do something that's a mistake, the mistake's logged off here. So like here was a click, and our target bubble ID is still 0. So I popped dead space. So I made a mistake there when I did my click. But then we'll see a valid click. Here's another click where we popped dead space. Here was a good click. So we have a click, and we can see our new target bubble ID is 1. So that means we popped the bubble successfully with this click event. And there's other data here. Each of these other columns is like the mouse position data and like the distance from the bubbles and stuff like that and whatever. Not really important for what we're looking at right now. But there's something a little fishy here where obviously we're logging undefined on this first one, which doesn't make any sense. And I'm now, upon looking at the code, I'm starting to see something a little weird here. So we've got a player cursor. Okay, take the last log. Oh. Okay, maybe this is the problem. Okay. All right, so we've got a player.match.target bubble ID. Okay, so we've got a player made a mistake method here. So this fires anytime. So again, we're on the server now. And this event fires anytime the player did something that caused them to make a mistake, whether they clicked wrong or they clicked somewhere else, whatever. And then what we're doing is we're going into the, so if we've got our logging turned on, if we want to write this CSV file, we're going to that latest log. So that latest, we're assuming that latest log event was already generated at this point. I really don't remember doing this. And then we're going to the target bubble ID property, and then we're setting it. So maybe this should be working. Maybe it's failing. Skididdy, I'm lurking, but I have to make progress of my own. Hey, no worries, no worries. Hey, did I not even give you a good demo of the game, Skididdy? Because I think I was just giving Guster B a little demo of the game. I don't know. I assume you're new here, Skididdy, but I didn't want to. I saw the. Oh, okay. Good deal. Cool. Yeah, because anytime somebody new's hanging out, I usually try to give them a little rundown of what's going on. All right. Well, thanks again, Skididdy, for the sub and the gifted sub. I really appreciate it. All right, so okay, so yeah, if we've got logging enabled, we go to that latest log. So this is when a player makes a mistake. We assume we already have a log. Okay. We already have a log there, basically. And we are setting the target bubble ID property. When the player makes a mistake. Okay. So let's just leave the highlighting on here. Logs mistake. Okay, so whenever the player moves the cursor, we're not actually, oh no, we are. We're putting it there. But when the player clicks the mouse, we aren't. Why are we not doing that? So we're not adding a property to our CSV file that is target bubble ID. We're not doing that when we have a mouse, player cursor down. Okay. Target bubble ID. But then when we actually write it to disk, we do target bubble ID there. Right. Log player, okay, player, mouse event, target bubble ID. All right, sorry, I'm just kind of thinking out loud a little bit here as I'm trying to keep all this straight in my head, so I'm not really being very descriptive with what I'm doing. Okay, so, okay, we were adding a log there. Yeah, so we're not, okay, so when the player clicks, that's what this method is here, player cursor down, and we get to the point where we're going to log some data. We're not actually specifying a target bubble ID here. And maybe that's because we specify it later. Oh, no. We're doing it here. Okay. Yeah, so this is kind of like set up the first part of it. Yes. Okay, so we do this first part. Then down in this if statement, we actually set the target bubble ID because that's when we know the target bubble ID. Okay, so this should be fine. But this is if we had a valid click. So player.matchState. Player match state. Target bubble ID equals 0. Yeah. What in the world? Okay, so all right, so we're gonna go to the mistake. Okay, so we log them. Wait a minute. Wait, where's the CSV file? Here it is. All right, so when we have, oh, look at that. So something weird is going on because this click should be an error, should be a mistake, but we're not logging a mistake either. So something else is going on. We should have the message of what type of mistake the player made on this line. Like for example, here we have we popped nothing, and we have popped dead space is the mistake message there. But we have nothing for this one, so something's already a little fishy with that too. Okay, so popped dead space. That's where we set that. Okay, let me try something else here real quick. We're gonna fire up a game again. And I just want to do okay. Okay, let's look here. Okay, so this was a valid click. Oh, you know what? Okay, so it was when I did a click. All right, so our CSV file refreshed. That's what this thing is here. So we're just seeing a very short CSV file because we didn't move the mouse very much. We just had a few mouse movement events, and then we had the mouse click event. All right, so let's try again here, and let's do, I think when I did a click out here, that's the problem. I think when I clicked out, yes, that's it. So we had one quick little movement, and then I clicked out of bounds. So that's what this undefined is. That's what that is. Now, maybe I don't care, actually, at this point about that. Let's see what happens. Yeah, because that doesn't count as a mistake. Yeah, that doesn't count as a mistake. Okay, so we've got move, click, undefined, click, undefined, click, undefined, click, undefined, click, undefined. Okay. Yeah, so we're doing clicks that are out of bounds. Out of bounds clicks will show up as undefined. Okay, so let's go. Let's just fire up one more game. I'm just doing one more little test here. All right, so let's actually play the game, then do a quick out of bounds click, and then keep going. Okay, we did a couple out of bounds clicks there in the middle of the game. Okay, so we did, here we go. Move, click, valid click, we go to bubble 1, valid click, we go to bubble 2, valid click, we go to bubble 3. Here we moved out of bounds, so we go back down to bubble 2. Here we did a click and we made it to 3. And here we moved, okay, that's weird. Oh no, this is a valid click. What? Pop dead space. All right, that's weird. I gotta try this again. So we're gonna do, because I don't have enough to go on here. All right, so we're going to pop a good bubble. We're gonna pop a bubble, then, okay, so we did 2 pops. And mouse click isn't exactly the word to use because I'm using move and click here. But technically the keyboard also is a click. As far as the server goes, the server doesn't care. The server doesn't know if you're pushing the keyboard or the mouse left click. So, all right. So we have a valid click right here. Then we do another, okay, we move out of bounds. Here's where we moved out of bounds. So we go back down to target bubble 0, and then we did a click. Wow. Okay, why? Okay, so that click shows up as 1 for some reason. Guster B, that's why I use TypeScript. LOL. Hate those undefined. Yeah. Well, in this case, I mean, that is, yeah, technically you're right. But actually that, it wouldn't really be, I mean, it would be something else. It wouldn't be undefined, but it would be we'd still have the same issue. See how I'm just like trying to defend myself for not using TypeScript? Don't you love it? Yeah, so this, for whatever reason, when I clicked when we were way out of bounds. I clicked when we were way out of bounds, and for some reason our target bubble increased. So we gotta see what's going on there. Retro MMO. You missed the TypeScript discussion before, Evan. Well, you didn't really miss anything, but actually I don't even remember what it was, but it was something where somebody was like, yeah, TypeScript. And I was like, yeah, I bet you if I was using TypeScript, that probably wouldn't happen. All right, so if we click, okay, so if we click, when we're out of bounds, how can we just ignore like an out of bounds click? Are we doing a check if the cursor's in play? Player cursor moved. Do we have like a cursor in play flag anymore? Is that part of the game? Player cursor down. That's where we go to all of this. Oh, no. Player.matchState.BubbleStates I.InPlay. If the cursor's in play, only do we care. Okay, so maybe we should just put this flag on this. So if we're logging and if we're in play. Let's do that. Ooh. That's kind of weird. MKS Glue. MKS Glue. Hey, what's going on, MKS Glue? Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. Cool Boy Jedi. What's going on, Cool Boy? MKS Glue. I'm good, buddy. Awesome. Awesome. Glad you're good. Cool Cool boy. A cool feature that could be implemented in the game in the future would be instead of going immediately from countdown to game, fade from black with a timer in the top. Hang on, let me make sure I'm reading this correctly here. Be instead of going immediately from countdown to game, would be to fade with a timer in the top or whatever is it in years 1 or 2. Start adding the starting circles in order. That way it's less harsh starting out. Yes, cool boy, Jedi. For sure I have some plans for making it less harsh. Yeah, that I do have some ideas for how I want to do that going forward. Because, yeah, I agree it is harsh right now. And part of that is because I don't really have a good way to, like, animate and stuff between screens. I mean, we could just straight up animate the object, but I want to kind of have a nice, I want to kind of think about how I want to do that, because I'd like the whole thing to be very animated, actually. So, like, whenever you know, for example, when you load the game, like maybe the Populus, you know, the menu here would like swipe in from the top or something, or like swipe in. And then whenever you do something, it would like swipe in and out. The next thing would swipe in. Yeah, because right now it's like everything is just abrupt. As far as like navigating around screens and stuff, everything's just this instant change. And I kind of regret not thinking more about that in the I kind of regret not taking that into account right away. But because it's definitely something I want to have. Because right now, yes, everything, basically anytime you go anywhere, it's just this hard snap everywhere. And we still want everything to be very snappy and responsive, but it would just be nice to have like some animations kick off instead, just really fast animations, like swiping from screen to screen kind of thing. Something like that. And that would improve the quality a lot, I think. That would just make the whole thing feel a lot nicer, just user experience wise. Yeah. Nasty cough there. All right. MK, are you okay, buddy? Yeah, thanks, MK. Thanks for the concern. I don't know what that was. Got a little tickle in the throat there, I guess. All right, so maybe we could just have we click. So what I'm doing right now isn't even that big of a deal. But what I'm thinking is like maybe we have MK, what is currently the issue? So I have basically I'm generating, I'm not sure how long you were here just before, MK, but I'll give you the quick synopsis here. So I'm logging all of our client input data during a competitive game. So all of the mouse movements and the clicks to pop bubbles, whatever. So I have this weird, well, it's not really a weird issue, but if you click when you're out of bounds, it's logging that, but I don't really have a way of keeping track. Well, let's see here. So like if you do a click when we're out of bounds. So if we do a competitive match and we go out and I do a click. Oh, okay. Now we just have a crash because I did something dumb. WebSocket is already in closing or close state. Oh, yeah, because the server just straight up died. So basically, if you click when you're out here, I just have some weird behavior. I'm logging some things, and it looks kind of weird, is what's we're ending up with. Wow, that looks awesome. Thanks. Yeah, let me give you a little demo, just in case you or anyone else is new hopping in. Yeah, so this is my game, Populus. You can actually play it right now, believe it or not, if you want. I got the command right that time. Yeah, you can go to populus.gg and play right now. We just have the single player, so I'm working on multiplayer right now. But it's a game where you pop bubbles, basically, is what it comes down to. It's just a speed, just trying to pop as many bubbles, just kind of like a skill game. Just pop as many bubbles as you can. It's kind of the idea. So if you hit play, you're basically trying to pop the bubbles as they appear over on this side here. So you're trying to pop the light blue bubble first, this cyan bubble first. So you'd mouse over it, and then you press the space bar or left click, and that pops the bubble. And you're trying to get as many as you can in 30 seconds. So you're just trying to go through here. And, you know, whatever bubble's in that position, that's the one you're trying to pop. You're just trying to go as fast as you can, pop as many bubbles before that timer runs out. And time's up. And then you see your stats at the end here. And mistakes. And Badger. What's going on, Badger? Multiplayer. Yes. We're getting there, Badger. We're getting there. Good to see you, Badger, as always. Yeah, so so this mouse click thing out of bounds, I don't know if, well, for one thing here, this should not be 1. Should it? Hang on. Let's try to refresh this again here. Whoops. Okay, we go here, we go there. 3, 2, 1. What? WebSocket closed. Oh, we're okay. Hang on. We're crashing again because of this thing. Okay. You know what? Screw it. I'm not gonna. We're getting rid of this thing. Okay. Because I really, yeah, I don't. So there's a little bit of a bug in our logging, and I'm gonna keep it because it doesn't make a difference anyway. It's not really that big of a deal as far. It's not gonna affect obviously gameplay at all, and I'm gonna make a little reminder about it. But whatever, we're just gonna roll with it. Okay, so if we do a multiplayer game, I wanted to pop a bubble, then click out here, then click in. Okay, I think that's what I wanted to do. So we did 3 clicks. First click was a bubble pop. So here we did click 1. And then we moved out of bounds. Yeah, here we moved out of bounds. So we went back down to 0. Okay, so we moved it back down to 0. Target bubble 0. And then we clicked. And then target bubble went to 1 again. That. Hang on. Hang on a second here. This makes me a little nervous. All right. Oh, wow. Okay. Hang on. We've got a really big problem here. That's a big problem. Okay. So this is not... Yeah, this is bad. All right, so if we click out of bounds, for whatever reason, it's incrementing our... That doesn't make any sense. That shouldn't be happening. All right, so if the player clicks the mouse, player cursor, okay. Player.match state.target. That should only increment. Okay, hang on a second here. Or not, hang on. Player.match state.target bubble ID. All right, we reference that 20 times. If the popped bubble is that good, then we increment that. Beautiful. So that's right, but there's somewhere else. All right, hang on. I gotta take a quick bathroom break. I've been cooling it on the fluids. There we go. Joanna BRB down there in the chat. Yeah, I've been taking it easy on the fluids, so not a lot of bathroom breaks this stream so far. Just, this is like the third one. All right, we'll be right back. All right, we're back. Okay. Okay. All right, so I think we've stumbled across a really bad bug. In fact, let's to simulate this, or not simulate it, but to actually let's test this really quick. Yeah, wow, that's awful. Shh. Okay. All right, so basically what's happening is, for whatever reason, when you click, out of bounds, that increments pop 0, target is now 1. That doesn't make any sense. So now we like reset everything. So now we're like, okay, I think. But basically the client and the server kind of got out of sync there. And I don't know how. I don't know why. It doesn't make much sense to me. Basically, when we clicked out of bounds, that for whatever reason incremented the target bubble ID for the player. All right, so oh. Okay, hang on. Let's refresh here. So if we pop this, go out of bounds. Yeah, pop 0. That doesn't make any sense. Pop 0, target is now 1. How is that possible? Player cursor moved. All right, let's check this here. Okay, player cursor moved. Okay, target. All right. This, okay, so for each, oh, okay, so if we're not in shared bubble mode, if player.matchstate.bubblestates.inplay, Skididdy, thanks for the entertainment this morning. I'm gonna go grub. Be back in a bit if you're still streaming. Hey, thanks Skididdy. Thanks again for the subs and everything. Really appreciate it. Yeah, hopefully you get some good food. Okay. Whoops. Okay, let's do if. Okay, hang on a sec. Now wait a minute. Player.matchstate.bubble states that in play. What does that mean? Oh. If that given. Oh, okay. So only for the in play bubbles. I got it. Okay, so check traversal. Oh, okay. Check traversal does. Oh, because there's a bunch of weird things. Okay, so it sets so if we're not in shared bubble mode, if that bubble state is if that bubble is popped, if this bubble is popped, return. If this bubble is traversed, then we check if we hit the circle. If we do, then return. Otherwise, set traverse to fall. Okay. Oof, that's kind of weird that I did that, but how I did that, but that's okay, I guess. All right. Okay, so that I don't think really helps us. If bubble is in play. All right, I'm losing track of what we're trying to of everything we were looking at here, but check traversal doesn't return anything, right? It's a void function. Well, it just returns void, I guess, in certain cases. Return. Otherwise, it's setting something. Okay. Okay, so I guess we just do CLG. All right, what is this again? Player cursor moved. Let's do that. Hang on, let's do this. Let's do if. No, wait, that doesn't. It doesn't return. Okay, we need to do if player.match state.bubble states I dot. Do we have? No. Okay. TypeScript bubble state popped or traverse. Unexpected to, okay. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got. If I do competitive match, 3, 2, 1. Bubble is traversed. Okay, then we're gonna pop it, but we're gonna go out, and then we're gonna pop again. Ah, that's okay. So we're not. The bubble's not being traversed, which is good. Which, yeah, that doesn't make any sense that it would, but we're still. So for whatever reason, if you do a pop out here, it like, yeah, like once I do, wow. So like once I do if we do pop, we see pop 0, target is now 1. We go out of bounds, and then if I click again, it says pop 0, target is now 1. So it like registered as a valid click, or but it doesn't make any sense because the distance, it knows you weren't over the bubble. Okay, so this is what's just not making very much sense here. All right, so we were logging this bubble traverse thing. Okay, but that doesn't seem to be the problem. Ooh, wait a minute. Oh, here we go. Maybe. If we're not all right, so we've got a section here for checking if we're out of bounds. Wait. Let's try this again here. Okay, so let's pop a bubble, move out of bounds. Okay, so it's hang on. Let's try this again here. Okay, so we do pop, move out of bounds. It did another out of bounds and then another and then a pop. Okay, so it did this again with the click, which is fine. Okay, if cursor, okay, in play, cursor just move it out of bounds. Player match, okay, cursor in play. Cursor in play should already be false. Hang on, let's just check this. Player.match state.cursor in play. Let's move that down here, though, just to be safe. There we go. Okay, so then let's refresh. Here we go. MK, to play multiple players, player, open game, same time, the other player, that match rule. So what happens is basically, if one player, so right now I just have this button as the multiplayer button, just because I have to figure out how I want to lay out the menu now with like a third button now for multiplayer. So we'll see what I end up coming up with. Basically right now, if you do that on the server, the server flags you as the waiting player, so you're waiting for a match basically, and then you would see this screen here, and then the other player. Well, okay, so there might not be any other player, right? Obviously, there's not at this point in time. I have another browser here, but I haven't requested a match yet. I haven't clicked this button yet. So, like, this player here can actually go and practice, and they'll still be waiting for a match up here. So, they could just go and practice. This is just a single-player practice match right now. They could just quit. They go back to the main menu, but they're still waiting for an opponent. So then if I go to another browser here and click, then it matches the two up. The server matches both of them up, and then a game starts. So there's not really any... there's going to be two separate things. There's going to be like a practice, which is kind of what's like what's live right now on Populus.gg. So there's just a play button, and that's basically just a single-player practice game. That's all there is. So then there'll be like a separate button for multiplayer, basically. And as of right now, I don't have one on the main menu, but that's something we'll get to. I've been kind of just trying to think about how I want to handle that, because I don't really want to rush that right now at this point. Whoops. Let's just see how many I get here. 82. All right. Okay, so... All right, so we want to see this out of bounds and then match state cursor in play. So I want to do... Okay, so we got out of bounds, false, out of bounds, false. Okay, so that's good. We want to see if this comes to out of bounds true, though. If we go, actually, all right, so let's do this. No, okay, so out of bounds false still. All right, so that's fine. So that's not our problem. Well, actually, why don't we just move this up? Oh, wait, never mind. Never mind. That's the reason why. Okay. I mean, I guess we'd have to... All right. Okay, so... All right. Man, This is tricky. Okay, cursor moved out of bounds. That is fine. Yeah, none of this stuff seems to be the problem. The problem is... Okay. Bubble state in play is false. Okay. My speakers are muting themselves there. Okay, config that match that share bubble mode. Okay, so let's look at our checks here for cursor down, player cursor down. So only if that bubble is traversed and the bubble is not popped. How could that be? Player.match state.bubble states traversed. So we check if... Oh, that's shared bubble. Okay, that's shared bubble mode. Hang on. We're down here. If that bubble is in play, if the bubble's traversed, and the match state, it's not popped. Man, so this, the in play should be true. That should be that should be true. Popped 0, target no. Wait a minute. Okay, so if the bubble, if the traversed here means the cursor's over the bubble. So first we're checking, so again, we are inside of our player cursor down method. So this is when a mouse click happens, when the server receives a mouse click. And we pass in the player and the position of the mouse cursor. So the position just is an object with two properties, an X and a Y value. So first things first is it counts a down click as a move. And that's where it parses, and that might actually be where and why this is failing. And it checks, so player cursor moved, it checks the position of that click as though it were a move. And that actually might be our problem. Because if we're not... If bubbles. Oh, I think I know. I think I've got it. Okay, so when we pop, okay, I think I know what the problem is. When we pop the bubble, it becomes, okay, so when we pop a bubble, it has a property in play, true, false. And that becomes false. That's how you know it's popped, basically, on the server. That's how the server knows that a bubble has been popped. That's how it's flagging that for each player. So the problem is, I think when we pop that bubble and it goes false, there's a previous property, there's another property on each bubble called traversed. That's also true or false. That just means if the mouse cursor is over the bubble. So obviously when you go over the bubble and you pop the bubble, are we back? Are we there? Hello? Are we back now? Yes, I think we are. Yes, I think we are. Okay. All right. MK is saying hey. Okay, so I assume that means I'm back. Everything's good. Something happened there. Streamlabs like flickered for a second and then it said it was stream was disconnected. So looks like it rebooted us okay here. I don't know what that was. Yeah, it looked like it was a stream, some kind of Streamlabs issue. But everybody can hear me okay now? It's the first time it's ever happened to me. Everybody can see and hear okay? Okay, so you're ready now to make multiple play game for us, buddy. Well, we're gonna be live pretty soon, MK. With the we're gonna have a game soon. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into why Streamlabs pooped hard there. But if everybody can see and hear everything okay, which I assume so, I can see myself back on Twitch now. This video buffering, use low latency to toggle. I don't know. Okay. All right. I'm going to trust everything's okay, but I'll keep an eye. Keep an eye out if anything weird happens. For a second there, I thought maybe it was gone. The stream was gone for good. Maybe I lost internet or something, but no. Streamlabs itself definitely like flickered and then disconnected. So it wasn't like I lost internet. Okay. So anyway, before we were so rudely interrupted by Streamlabs OBS, I think I'm on to why we've got a problem. So when you move the cursor, okay, so we've got, when you pop a bubble, actually, let me just, to be absolutely, oh no, wait a minute, hang on. Now I'm a little confused. We've got like 3 properties that are kind of important. We've got traversed, popped, and in play. So traversed means the cursor is over the bubble. Popped means the bubble's been popped. And in play, I think, is for bubbles that are visible but haven't been popped. I should have documented this better, shouldn't I have? I mean, traversed I know for sure. Popped I know means, but I don't know if when you're popped for good, does in play become, let's check that right now. So in the player cursor down event here, when we pop the bubble, okay, so that's right up here. So if we popped the correct target bubble, we flag that bubble as popped true. We set the pop time, and in play becomes false. Okay. So that's good. And what I'm thinking we also need to do here is we also need to set, this is what I'm thinking the solution to our problem is, just one line. Oh. Just one line. I think if we set traversed to false, that saves the day. Because here's why. Here's why I think that's the problem. Because, so we get out of sync when we do we do the following thing. Get a game going here. All right, if we pop a bubble, then go out of bounds, then go back in and pop the bubble again, it flagged that as a pop. It said pop 0, target is now 1. Whoa, wait a minute. Player distance was 18. What? Hang on. Let's try it again. Okay, so we pop one, go way out of bounds, and then click. That's better. Yes. Okay. All right. Yes, and then we're out of sync. Oh, the client is, at this point the client is out of sync with the server. So whatever we saw on the client at that point was bad. So here's where that so I don't know why that said 18 before, but here is much more realistic of what we should be seeing. So it thinks the server flagged this as a valid pop. That was a click out of bounds. Because you can see we're 1,430 units away from the bubble. The bubble max radius is like 250 maybe, I don't remember, 200 or 250 or something. That's like the max radius in units that we can have for a bubble. So obviously this is a completely contradicts itself, this line, because we're 1430 units away from that bubble when we popped it, which, you know, doesn't make sense. MKS glue. See you later, man. I need out now. Nice to meet you. Hey, MKS glue. Thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Pop the GitHub down there. Nice, nice. So the reason why I think this is a problem is because what happens is we go out of bounds. When we go out of bounds, that counts as a mistake. But the click out of bounds doesn't count as a mistake. So what happens is we pop that first bubble. We pop bubble 0. So it goes to in play. It's in play gets set to false. So popped equals true, in play equals false. And then popped becomes true, in play becomes false. But traversed. See, the thing is, when we move the mouse cursor over the bubble, and traverse had to be set to true. Traversed has to be true in order for a pop to occur. So that's what I think is the problem. We pop the bubble when we're traversed, which is good. Traversed remains true. But when we go out of bounds, we make a mistake. But when we're out of bounds, we are not checking if any of the bubbles when we go out of bounds, we're not checking if any of the bubbles are traversed anymore. So, or traversed, because we go out of bounds, we're not checking for collisions against each bubble. So traversed was true. Traversed was set to true for bubble 0. Then we went out of bounds. Bubble 0 comes back, but we're not checking. Okay, so we go out of bounds, so popped becomes false. So basically bubble 0 comes back. Popped becomes false, in play becomes true. These things get flipped back. But we're still, traversed is still set to true because we haven't because we went out of bounds and we are no longer checking. We're no longer checking if we're traversed or not. So bubble 0 still thinks it's traversed. So then when we click out of bounds, bang, that's our problem. So we've got two things. Actually two things. Problems should be solved if I do this. So when the bubble goes out, we set traversed back to false. We set traversed to false for that bubble now that we've popped it. So that, in theory, should be enough right there. But I have another thing I also want to do. So we do that. We do this. Great. We pop a bubble. We go out. We click. Now nothing. We're fine. We're clicking out of bounds. Nothing's happening. So that's good. So now Next thing. Are we still okay here? Okay. So just 8,000 dropped frames. 8,059 dropped frames. Okay, that's not good. All right, I'm going to keep... Okay, so for whatever reason, we dropped a bunch of frames. I assume that's Streamlabs again. Like, I don't think that's any sort of network issue. And when I looked at the... I just checked the Twitch stream manager again, and it was showing, like, poor performance. But then I just refreshed it, and it's fine now, so I don't know exactly what that was. We'll see. We're going to see. We're going to make sure that 8,059 doesn't go up anymore. And that 8,059 might have been the brief period of time that we were down, maybe. Maybe that's all that was. Hopefully that's all that was. Because all that time that Twitch, whenever Streamlabs took a dump and came back, hopefully that's what that 8,059 is. That'd be quite a few seconds though. 8,059 divided by 60. 134 seconds. Was it that long we were down? I guess that's possible. Oh, well, I'm going to keep an eye on that dropped frames thing. Just make sure that doesn't keep going up because I don't know what the deal is. Hopefully that just keeps going down. Anyway. Okay, so... All right, so just setting this one line is good enough. But we really should just be, like, returning. Like, if the cursor is out of bounds... If the cursor's out of bounds, then we might as well not even process any clicks, basically. So, like, we could just do... So we could just do if. Oops, config. I'm just autopilot looking at what I'm doing down here, and that's it. Okay, so if how do we know if we're out of bounds? Player.matchState.cursor in play. So if this is false, if cursor is not in play, then we're not even going to parse anything. Yeah. Then don't even check any bubble pops. Don't check for any bubble pops if we're not in play. I think that makes sense. Whoa, we dropped another bunch of frames here. All right, I don't know. Something's wrong with Streamlabs, I guess. All right. I'm going to kill the stream. If anybody can even see, I'm going to kill the stream. We're going to bring it back. Because I assume people are leaving and stuff because it's just awful. All right, so I'm going to kill the stream and then we're going to bring it back real quick here.